Welcome, everyone, to another incredible show. Here we are joined by our two massively famous light workers on the other side, Laura Massey and Dale Tobin. Welcome to the show once again.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
We were joking in the background here before about how light workers do strange things. So if you are a recovering light worker out there and you've done some strange things, we want you to type into the chat room what it's like. Today, we're going to be talking about spirit guides, how they work, things that go on with them, the ways that they don't work. And because we like to just have fun, we're going to be referring to the average light worker's inability to communicate to their spirit guides. And yes, we poke fun at this, but it actually has a lot of teaching behind it. So one of the ones that I had just said, it's like when a light worker tries to get to their spirit guides, why can't I see them? Why can't you turn on your video like in Zoom room? Okay. So stuff like that happens all over. No, the spirit guide can't turn on its video because you don't have the bandwidth to receive it until you've practiced enough, become friends with them, etc., etc. Dale, Laura, let's dive deep into light workerness with spirit guides as the central theme of teaching today.
Well, I'm a light worker and I want instant gratification. So I want instant mystical experiences without having to do any of the work.
And I'm a light worker and I want validation that there's something out there and the spirit world is real.
And I'm a light worker, and if I don't get it, I'm going to quit because these guys don't know what they're talking about. I'll just go to somebody else. They'll give me whatever I want.
But I got 11:11 on my phone today, so I must be very special.
Okay, what's your spirit guide telling you when 11:11 pops up on your phone on 11:11?
But I have a special portal because 11:11 is the gateway.
Yes, and all those mass meditations are going to do what for you?
Fuck you up.
Help me ascend.
But don't you got to do work, inner work? Don't you got to do inner work to ascend?
No, you get specially chosen sometimes.
No, but didn't my spirit guide tell me you don't have to do anything? Just sit and wait. The aliens will come, won't they?
They will. Yeah, they'll be here.
And I think our spirit guides want us to awaken everyone, make sure everyone's awake.
Yeah, we can't leave anyone behind.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We have to master ourselves to the cause.
Mm-hmm. So, as recovering light workers, what can we do to get out of that energy? You all heard it. You're all laughing your ass off. People are stomachs hurting there. And we will go deeper, but how did you break that? Laura, what did it take for you to break light workerness and to feel a spirit guide and know it was real?
Trust. Doing the daily work. I mean, it's absolutely right back to basics it was for me. You can't launch yourself in there and think you've got that connection without doing the daily, the basic stuff, the daily prayer practice. Yeah. And then doing some revocation, some of the fortification work that we do. Many things, I think.
That sets up the opportunity for you to have not a phone number to a spirit guide. You don't have their digits and you're not texting them. How does that communication work?
Oh, so many ways, doesn't it? So you get that communication in dream time, you get it just coming to you like I was going to say a voice in the head, and that's where the trust comes in. You know, who are you talking to? Have you done enough work that you know that you're not being messed with? That's the other thing. And that's where doing the fortification work is so important, isn't it? It's vital to have a really solid, let's call it shamanic grounding like that. Doing all that, you know, having your altar at home, doing the revocations, as I say, doing the prayers, doing some ceremonies and so on. So you actually start to become more aware of who you're communicating with.
Exactly. So Dale, let's enter light workerness for a minute. And just like we did the little skit in the opening, what was it like? Give us a way of what it's like for a brand new person trying to talk to a spirit guide after somebody on a psychic show said, all you got to do is sit there, close your eyes, and spin around 3 times in your brain, and your light work and your guide should be there.
So I'd say, first of all, one of the things you'd have to do is learn spiritual hygiene, like Laura talked about, is being able to understand what the environment is like around you, making sure you're responsible for your awareness as well, because when you do speak to a spirit guide, you're raising your frequency much higher. And a lot of people get hijacked by certain entities or ghosts or things which are around them, which they connect to, which aren't actual spirit guides. So I'd say probably trust for me would be the best thing, and not going in with expectation as well. And for those who, there's not just going to be one way the spirit guide's going to communicate to you. It could be many different ways, and we all go. The light work in me went in with an expectation to see, to see and have this like conversation like I'm doing with you, Laura and Andrew. It's about how are you going to have that communication. It might even not be through speaking. It might be through your dreams. I was just a bit upset. Emotions, yeah.
Emotions.
Yes, emotions as well. And for me, I remember closing my eyes and I was waiting for this, like my crown to open, and for me just to have this open communication. But I was like, shit, that didn't work. So for me, it was the more of the emotion and the more of the smile, enjoying it. Actually, why am I doing this? I'm not doing this for instant gratification. I'm doing this in a sacred way. I'm doing this to elevate my own personal journey. So a lot of people go in with expectations and want them to say something to make them really happy, but it's not like that. It's going in with, like I say, without that expectation. Yeah.
So that journey to no expectation is its own unique practice of process of trust. Practice of process of trust. So all of you recovering light workers out there have an understanding of practice of process of trust. Just look at those frequencies of what it takes to trust yourself enough to believe yourself that you're not making shit up. Over the years, we have talked about the fine line where you're not making shit up, and they're accepting that this is a co-creation, a unique and expressive process. So many new people to the journey, and some of the older people in the journey, they become complacent with spirit guides, okay? They become content with a level, and sometimes that complacency leads to a mismanagement, where you're suddenly dialing up the spirit guide when he's about to make love to his woman and you demand to see them right there. Does a spirit guide have a life without you? Process that a little bit. I bet you a lot of people didn't think about that. Okay? So if you're calling his phone and texting him 911, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Right now, I'm calling your name. Every time you called your name, you're there before. Why aren't you there now? Demand and command will not help you grow relationships with any form of true spirit guide. It will introduce you to the lesser spirit guides, ones that will demand and command you.
And that connects to as well, I think, on one of the last shows when someone was talking, asking their guide or the being to clear the darkness, kind of, using that demand, which I used to do back in the light worker days, kind of expect and ask a lot instead of actually doing it, doing the work myself, trusting myself enough. And like you say, having that deeper level of communication. And when I had that trust with myself, so my grandma, Colleen, she was called, when she crossed over, she took on a different form of responsibility. We talked about this on the session, Andrew, and I have a regular ceremony where I do speak to her and connect to her. But again, like you say, sometimes I feel like I shouldn't talk to her because she's busy. And sometimes I've kind of got that awareness where I'm not, look, grandma, spirit grandma, ancestor, come to my side now. So yeah.
So somebody from the chat, Suzanne, is asking, what about demanding our own spirit? That's different. That's different. It's your own spirit. It's your own shards. That's the out loud name it to claim it system. In this particular thing, if it's your own spirit, it's fine. When it's something that's there to be of service to you, you got to have a layer of respect. Just like it has a layer of respect for you. But then there's all these other, but it doesn't experience time. Those are all light worker excuses. It has a frequency beyond you. Yes, it doesn't experience time. And metaphorically, when you call on it, is it about to make love to his wife? It could be. It's an infinite world and a universe out there. Okay. And what is the spirit guide's wife on the other side? Again, they can't do anything on their own. Okay. So a grumbly spirit guide comes back to you and go, okay, Dale, what's going on now? I just wanted to know about my Akashic records from 67 million years ago. Can you give me an entire detailed report now? Can you see how that can come off absolutely obtrusive and in not good interactive qualities? Unfortunately, so many new people are new, they don't know what questions to ask. Thus, you have to identify them as a being with a life. Just like you would talk to you and me. You wouldn't come up. I do have people asking me from their Akashic records from 67 million years ago, and I have people come up on the street and ask that to me. So I have a unique experience there. Okay. But there are other ways to communicate to guides. Laura, let's explore some of those regular human ways to earn your own self-trust that you're not making shit up, that can help people explore and create a true friendship with a guide. Like you and Two Feathers.
Yeah. So this goes back to the trust, like you were saying. And in order to earn your own trust, you've got to override, excuse me, some of the programs that tell you not to listen to your heart, not to listen to that internal, your own voice inside, your heart voice. So some of it is doing the work on the program so that you reach that level of trust. And then I'm a great one for speaking as if they're here next to me. Round a fire is always a good one. I've done it lots around the fire, creating a sacred portal. And then I don't always get anything then, but maybe when, like Two Feathers is ready, then he'll come to me in dream time. And then we can have a very long conversation in dream time, because that's when he's ready, as you're saying, to come forward and share. So it's very much...
Pause for a second.
Yeah.
And insert impatient light worker. I don't remember my dreams. How will I ever know in the dreams if they come to me? Answer that one.
What, you don't remember your dreams?
Yeah.
You have to. Well, then you just need to do more work if you're going to want to remember your dreams.
But I do so much work. How much more work do I have to do? Why won't they show themselves to me? Why can't I see them?
They'll come when you're ready. And when there is that less expectation, less demanding, more flowing, co-creative energy. Just keep doing the work. If you just keep doing your great work, they will come when they are ready. And that's natural, organic evolution.
And it may be a case as well of broken faith, which is big in a lot of people. So a lot of people and clients who come to see me, they'll have an aspect of them which is broken faith and a trauma which they've not actually worked on. So if you do have that broken faith, looking into what age and doing the inner work on getting rid of that broken faith, so there's a full trust in spirit. So there's a lot of people with broken faith who just try and write, I want to connect, I don't believe it, their ego says this. So yeah, working on that broken faith is really important when wanting to connect to them.
So Dale, real quick, your main microphone isn't selected. That's the microphone off the camera.
Sorry. Me or...
We can tell because as you come closer, you don't get better sounding. Light worker issues.
Yes,
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sorry. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah.
That's better.
Brilliant. Did you hear what I said, or do I have to?
Yeah.
Say
We did.
Yeah.
We could
Brill.
just fade it out before.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No big deal. So light workering stuff, is hammering it. That's the essence of the energy of light working, forcing it to happen instead of natural co-creative evolution. In the most part, demanding validation, demanding answers, demanding they upload a massive file of information instantly to you. In the years past, I described it like the Galactic Spirit Guide Tinder. You're flipping through till you find a guy that will get you off on your rocks and give you the information you instantly need. Well, before you get to know a guide and demand that they tell them all this stuff, have some bread with them. Okay, this is the next part of creative visualization, because so many lightworkers, I can't see anything. All these other people see everything. I'm not special enough to see. Well, practice sight. And most people who practice sight end up hearing a guide long before they see a guide. Sight is one of the last things that comes. And there's so many people like, why do I not have sight? Because you're blocked. You might have a karmic blockage. You might have a specific reason why the guide's not speaking to you in such a way. Or it has been speaking to you and you're just not in a perceptive state to understand it.
I think that's where you have to go back to the real basic stuff. You've got to be a deep listener, haven't you? You've got to that is part of the meditation, be a deep listener, and then a deep visualization observer and practicer. Practicing that inner visualization to get those spiritual third eye muscles, etc., working. Because as Andrew's always said, if you don't get those muscles working, they're atrophy.
Yeah. Or you end up pulling your third eye muscle and you've got a sprained third eye. Then what? Okay. Instead of two black eyes over here, you got one black eye over here, and it's a lazy eye, a lazy third eye. Okay. The spirit guide's like, hey, over here. Okay. There are times our spirit guides, they try and try and try with infinite patience, but we just can't connect back. And sometimes we have to accept that. And the harder we try, the worse it becomes. The lazy third eye energy takes over. So that word, deep listening, you got to make it mean something to you. So Dale, take up the words deep listening and add to that.
So for deep listening, it would be able to, I'd say, really go within yourself and go into a deep silence. And for all of those who are not able to go into a deep silence, where they're actually comfortable with themselves and comfortable with the silence, and they can have a little smile in that and enjoy. Because for me, when I first started doing it, it took me a long time to be able to be comfortable with myself enough to start exploring it more and more. Flotation tank was one of the greatest things for me to open that doorway into being able to be still and enjoy being still and going into that nothingness. And through that nothingness, we can connect. And it really is about your expectations and moving all judgment from other people as well. About that, this girl can speak to Archangel Michael or their spirit guide. She can channel there. You have to kind of remove all of that, so it's not part of your greater journey. And you have to really go within. And if you don't connect to them, you don't. That's fine. And sometimes it doesn't happen for me the way I want it to, or something comes up for me and I've got to go. And I just let it go, and I'm not going to allow that to change me. So not being too hard on yourself when you do it, and not living up to other people's expectations and what the light workers say online about this guy said this guy said that. Do your own work and really find that silence by taking your time, like the schedule I have 6 days a week, 60 to 90 minutes a day of self-healing, self-nurturing time. And it took me a long time to be able to build up the muscles to do it. So it's not going to be a process of you one day, it's going to switch on. It actually takes a time and effort where you're going to be honest with yourself about it. How much work are you doing on yourself? The amount of people who say, they've done work on themselves when they come to see me for a session, and I ask them, so how much to do a week on yourself? And it turns out they'll do 1 day a week on themselves, but they're wanting to connect to being a spirit guide, or they want to progress as a psychic surgeon. So it's always going back to the basics of fortifying your own reality and expanding that through doing the inner work, the great work, enjoying it, not getting light work or obsessed, and not taking things personally as well. So that's my little bit to add with love and light.
Well said. Well said. Well said. Bravo. That is the sound of a recovered light worker. Okay.
The other and you want
Go ahead,
to develop, I was going to say, you want to develop your own unique lens, and so you can open this access to other realms or past, present, and future or whatever with your own guide, because like Dale said, so many people go for okay, we'll speak to Archangel Michael or an ascended master, but I think when you do your own work, it's possibly more beneficial if you try and connect to something that's very related to you.
Right. Not something so hierarchically high that you're walking into the king's court and demanding answers from Archangel Michael. Why do so many light workers go right away to Michael, right away to this, right away to that?
I did.
Why?
Yeah.
Why do they do that?
I did.
They don't want the middle manager? What are they, like a Karen? I wanted the top guy. Okay? Instead of your local spirit guide who's there to help you figure out how it works. To the translator.
Yeah. Yeah. It was my spiritual ego, I think, that wanted me to connect to, all the archangels.
Okay. What did the archangels do for you, Laura?
Well, what they did was Archangel Michael suggested that we all went and got different currency for the currency revaluation for the reset.
Well, Michael told you to buy Iraqi dinar? Why would he say that to you?
Vietnamese dong. And then
Vietnamese dong, okay.
I was glued to the currency exchange rates like every day. So it's going to happen. It's going to happen anytime now. Archangel Michael says so. And then I might see in the clouds, I might see an A and an M. And I'm thinking, what's that? Oh, that must be Archangel Michael. Yeah.
All right, so for anybody out there right now, if you see somebody channeling Archangel Michael and it tells you to buy gold, silver, invest in this and this, what can you fairly say about that particular channel? They are not connected to an archangel. Okay? I'm not saying fraud. They are not connected. You in the chat room are saying that. Compromise. Stop. You're right. There are so many signs that the light worker just passes by. Next rest stop, 5 miles. Next rest stop after that, 900 miles. And the light worker wants to get off the road and they see the charlatan. Okay, why do they fall for the charlatan so often? Because they're here and they talk back. And somebody's doing the work for you.
And going back to the light worker days, I remember that there was these channeled messages all the time. It just said the same stuff all the time.
Say, Dale, you're gonna have to turn your gain up. It's pretty low.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, don't get closer. It's just turn your gain up.
Yeah. So can you hear me all right now when I speak?
No, it's really soft.
Okay. A bit closer. Is that better?
No. Put the other mic on. Just put the other mic on for right now.
Right, cool.
I think
while he's fixing that, the charlatans on the side of the road, the ones that are on Facebook and websites and telling you to buy Vietnamese dong, what advice can you give to the people in the chat room today?
Don't go with all those big ones. Like we said just now, go with something that's unique to you, the guide that's unique to you. and just work on that one. Just do your own great work, and that will come in its own time, like we said, when you're ready. Because I remember when I did that with Archangel Michael, and Andrew said to me, so how did that work out for you? It's like, well, actually not very well, Andrew. No.
Yes.
And Michelle,
do you know how many spirit guides were on websites promoting FTX, the cryptocurrency failure that's gone on? You know how many crypto guys were tapping in to light workers who had web channels because they were influencers to channel about fucking cryptocurrency again?
And we get in a comfort zone, as I think Michelle in the chat has just noted.
Right.
We do. Yeah, very much so. And we just get lazy. We just don't want to do our own work. Even if that is simple, deep listening, we're too impatient to do that.
Yes. Let's talk about impatience, and what does impatience really do to the person trying to practice?
Blocks you.
It creates blocks. Yeah, we can hear you. So talk about impatience.
I'd say so. Impatience is probably one of the things as well. When at the start of my journey, I always was impatient with everything. I wanted instant gratification. I wanted validation. Until the point I was literally listening to something to give me that instant gratification, and I had no patience to actually start looking within. And because when I started to look within, I realized there's some shit I didn't like the look at, like the look of. And so for me back then it was nice having that, because I didn't have to do any inner work. I was all love and light. I was doing this, being on pedestal, blah, 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 blah. Until I got to that point in 2013 when I first heard a video of yours, and it made me look at myself and went, oh shit. And it's that process of going into yourself, doing that work to get rid of where that impatience comes from, because all the impatience will be data for you to go back and ask yourself, where's this impatient stuff coming from? Is there somewhere in my life where I've been really impatient before, or where I've seeked out instant gratification all the time? Or I've been an addict before, so I was quite impatient because I wanted something to make me feel different really straight away. So that impatience is, if you have impatience with trying to connect to those spirit guides, start doing the work on where that impatience from. Start making a fire and going to where there's versions of you which have created that maybe past life, not all the time, majority of the time it's this lifetime. So with that impatience is seeing where it's from, doing the work and being responsible for working on that impatience. So there's no impatience when you're going into it. You're relaxed, you're happy, you're in your body, you're grounded, and so on.
Impatience keeps you from entering the no time field, and you're only going to access what you really want to access when you enter that no time zone.
So over the years of people listening to me to do call-in shows, people have said how patient I can be. How do you think I earned that patience? I put that out to the whole audience. How do you think I earned that patience? To deal with the depressee, the super advancee, and everything in between, and whatever the wheel of callers had to bring. How do you think I earned that patience? It wasn't just the daily practice. There was something else there. The drive to slow it down. To not be in fifth gear everywhere you go, to not have the turbo boost to advance the experience faster than it needed to know the slow train can get up the hill just as fast as the fast train. Slowing down the information. You don't have to be balls to the walls every time. And unfortunately, we take our time-driven world and apply it to the non-time-driven world. And we're tapping our feet and looking at our clocks. Why am I not getting the answers I want? Which creates an expectation to a potential future. I earned it, learned it, relearned it, re-earned it over and over again until I mastered slowing everything down to a pace I could process. Hear the subtleties of the other guides that were saying, slow it down. You're going too fast. Why do you need to go so fast? It's not a starter bullet going off every time you talk to your spirit guides. So learn, earn, relearn patience by slowing your spiritual world down. Okay, then the daily practice showed me techniques, dozens of different techniques to slow it down, to master the different frequencies of hundreds of people in the audience, or the thousands that are listening in the potential future who want it now. Okay, projecting now. Until I went, no, you'll get it when it's ready. Okay. The other reason I created the words out loud, name it to claim it system, so that we could listen to the cadence of our voice. The outside voice is what you should begin talking to your spirit guides with. Unfortunately, everybody wants to start internal and wants the video button to be turned on like a Zoom room. It doesn't work that way. Vision is something you earn. Oftentimes you may smell a spirit guide, and in that smell are thousands of words if you're ready to revel in the smell. Slow it down. Or it's just a presence that is there, and that presence is speaking to you, but at such a slow state, like one word at a time. And it will not speed up at all. It wants you to slow down, because in that space between words are thousands of more words if you're ready to hear.
Maybe that's why, Andrew, I mean, possibly for me and, well, for me and possibly for others, when you go into nature, and nature doesn't work in that time. So nature slows everything down and does it at its pace, doesn't it? The natural world does it at its pace when it's ready. And I think that being out in nature also helps you to slow things down.
The world of the concrete jungle is fast paced. And when we learn to be shamans in the concrete jungle, we know how to go into the slow lane, into the bicycle lane, and not let the traffic of the rest of the world affect us.
And that's back to being a deep listener and deep observer.
So now the next thing is, how do you know if your spirit guide's been hijacked or not? Let's go light workery for a second. How many times have we heard hijack light workers, hijack spirit guides on my shows?
Yeah.
Okay.
People who have come to my workshops who have said they were Merlin in the past life, they've been told that by the spirit guide, and all sorts of things.
Yeah, do you know how many Sophias I've met? Hagia Sophias? Do you know how many, I mean, you name it, I've met in a given year, 20 people who believe they're freaking ISIS, 30 people a year. How do they get convinced?
Why don't they stop to question it ever? Is it just their spiritual ego is so running the show?
They have let go of their spiritual street smarts and are in over-belief mode. It's like a child being told a story by an adult, and the child doesn't know that it's a story. They take it as truth. And let's say that adult wants to play a little game on the child, and there's going to be a joke at the end, but none of the children are going to get it because it's an adult joke. Okay? Unfortunately, our subconscious will often hijack the tell me now. Okay, I'm going to tell you what I want you to hear. You were Napoleon in another life. And before that, you were Alexander the Great. And before that, you were this and this and this. Oh my God, I was all these beautiful things. Whoa. Let me call up Andrew and find out for validation. And then what happens? They lose faith. They broke trust. When they could have just questioned that in the moment, going, hey, in the years of me listening to this shit, how many people have said they were this guy or they were that guy? How are we all the same guy? Logic. Simple, street smart, spirit logic. Okay? We cannot be wide-eyed, bushy-tailed little kids looking up to the guide who's your parasympathetic or some external entity telling you a story and marketing you what? To buy his bullshit for 99 cents of your energy.
The discernment is learned, isn't it?
Learned, earned, and relearned over and over again.
Through experiences.
And the daily practice, slowing the world down, and it becomes a cumulative knowledge base.
It's building on that inner wisdom the whole time. And if you're not going to do the daily work, how are you going to build on that inner wisdom?
Powerful words. If you're not going to do the inner work, how are you going to build on the inner wisdom? Process that, everyone out there. Think about it. Okay? How do you unlearn something? Dale, take that one up. How did you unlearn yourself? Unlearn being a light worker?
I think it was the hard truths and things. So when I went through my process, it was like the death. I had to die a lot of times in order to grow and be authentic and be myself. So it's basically the relearning process for me was, again, the journey, going back to the journey, realizing that I'm a human, I have family, I want to be a dad, but I want to be a fun dad. I don't want to be a dad or a parent who's lost in the light, making the kids do stuff they didn't want to do. So for me, it was always about, I was always looking at what I was doing and in discernment, whether it's good or whether it's bad. At the start of my journey, I was making my kids meditate. Like once every 2 weeks, I was doing ceremonies, and it got obsessive. And I knew there was innately something in me which knew it wasn't right. And so I had to go through that, had to go through that realization of looking at myself, being truthful for myself, and knowing that who I am is not to make my children to be spiritual. They have their own spiritual contracts. Even a lot of them might not be spiritual, they may be spiritual. And it was about, for me, unlearning what I learned at the start of my light worker solid journey, where I was vegan, I was underweight, I was almost in hospital at one point. I looked really ill. I seen a picture of me and I looked fucking yellow. Gabrielle said it was my yellow stage. And I was like, I wouldn't let anyone in. And I was... So my relearning was the hard fucking lessons of life, learning the hard way, realizing I was in karma all the time. I was attracting really negative shit in my life. And it got to the point of listening to, obviously, Andrew as a mentor throughout the years of, you know, he's not going to do it for me. Even the sessions, he told me some fucking great shit. But all of the stuff you said to me was stuff for me to actually do on my own, do it by myself and go through that validation. So unlearning would be, it's having those moments and biting your lip. If it feels uncomfortable sometimes, just allow it, laugh about it. Like I laugh at some of the silly shit I've done. I have to start breaking up some of the seriousness, because I even got blame and shame and guilt back in my light workers day about everything I did. So it stopped me from doing as great work. So if I make mistakes now, I forgive myself, move on and enjoy the moment. And I think that's for everyone. Shame, blame and guilt really holds a lot of people back from unraveling and relearning. So when they go and do something wrong, they go into shame, blame and guilt, they'll give up for a bit, then they'll come back onto it every so often. But when you have that mistake, it's about forgiving yourself, fucking move on, just enjoy it, like laugh about it. Before, this crazy guy 10, 11 years ago was just so uptight and so like with all my clothes on and just like wouldn't listen to my wife about what she was saying, and my way was like the right way, that Archangel Michael, Doreen Virtue, that was a lot of marketing for me, was seeing all of her shit. And I think I bought everyone like
stuff. Got a lot of those cards back in the day. So yeah, it's going through those stiff upper lip moments. And if you are doing, then you can change the moment of the now direction of where you want to get. I'm living proof of come out of addiction, come out of being a zealot, a light worker. And I've still got tendencies in me, light worker tendency I still have to work on. So it's just always about hindsight, foresight, and unraveling through doing that great work.
So how did the zealot hijack the vegan in you and just make you not eat protein and make you think you were doing the right thing?
I think I watched one of the biggest things for me, what made me go light work, was watching Thrive once, the YouTube video called Thrive. And it was like everyone watched it at that period of time. And that opened me up to thinking the world was wrong and everything was against me. I joined a place called Fillmore and Union, which was like a really healthy vegan, still sold meat cafe. And I used to wake up and have spirulina for breakfast and apple juice. That's all I had for breakfast. And I had some salad for lunch and so on. So yeah, for me, that martyrship was so ingrained into me, Andrew. It was just this machine and robot turned on, oblivious to everything really. And I feel like maybe my parasympathetic got me, my ego got me, teacher. But yeah, I was full-time light worker the first, and I was recovering after like 2 years. And probably 2013 was the part where I had to start. Yeah.
So when you see your yellow you in full-on anemia, do you realize how sick you were then?
Yes, it was really bad. Like I see a video of me now and I'm like, holy fuck, who's that guy? And I'm like, I look back here, I'm like, wow, that is what I didn't know and what I was avoiding, what I wouldn't look at was just beyond me. And yeah, if I had a conversation with that guy today, I'd be like, who the fuck's this guy? Like,
would he even be able to hear you?
No, he wouldn't be able to hear me at all.
He wouldn't be able to hear you.
And pushing people away was a hard part. Like a lot of people awaken and all of a sudden they fall out with everyone because they have some sort of belief system that the family's against them, the mum's against them, the dad's horrible, blah, blah, blah. And this is what I went through. And it only got till 2014, 15, where I realized I love my family. I've always loved my family and I need to spend time with them and just share being a human with them. And so the last part for me was spending time as much as I can with his flaws. My dad, I loved him to pieces and I wanted to spend time with him. But when I was in that light worker mode, I shoved everyone away, my mum, my dad, and I kind of like separated, wanted to go live in a fucking yurt or something, and completely like just had a dream of like, you know what, one day I'm going to get my kids and move away and just go off somewhere away from everyone.
Yeah. Now, Laura, you pick up where he left off, how that zealot and that martyr can just ruin family experiences for a lot of people in the light worker experience, especially when they're trying to communicate to spirit guides who are sending them the wrong direction.
Yeah, well, you're going so much into polarity, aren't you, with that? And, you know, I've had a very similar experience to Dale in being the martyr, which actually made me ill. I mean, really ill, wasn't I? So, so I couldn't, you just don't hear what anybody's saying. Just like Dale was saying, you just don't want to listen. And I had that the serious spiritual stick a long way up my backside. And I would dig in those light worker heels and not want to move at all. With anybody saying anything to me, I was transfixed on this journey, which did me no good at all, because I went so far into this zealotry that I was so bad. I actually called down. I had to phone you, Andrew, didn't I? And you had to try and disentangle me. But my excuse was that I was trying to help people. I think I'd interacted with people who were dying in hospital was one of the causes, wasn't it? Thinking I was doing good, believing I was being the goody two-shoes light worker, showing absolutely no discernment at all, thinking I was giving myself enough protection, but you can't do that sort of work and do your normal levels of protection either. You've got to step it up according to the scenario which you're entering. One, I didn't do that. I was arrogant enough to think I carried enough light that I could handle this and walk into a hospital where many, many people have died, and it has their own little ghostly structure. And I would take this home with me, and it manifested in, as I just said, I felt like the Harry Potter Dementors had me. And I was
when you're in that space and entering the haunted hospital like that, what can your spirit guides actually do if you're not listening to them? Nothing.
They can't do it.
But you still had the expectation they would bodyguard and protect you.
Yeah, really. Yeah, but you've got to do your part of the bargain. You've got to do your side of the work. And you can't say, right, I'm going to throw myself into this dirty spiritual minefield, right? And hope I don't tread on any mines. And if I do, you have to be there for me. You can't, because you've got to do the work with them. It's a co-creation, isn't it? And you've got to do your part of the deal. And that's not entangling with some of the most dirty energies I could have done.
Okay. Remember poking the dragon in the eye, the little thing about when you would go to the different sacred places and do your ceremony there on purpose and poke the dragon in the eye? And how times that those energies can get very tough. That's another thing a lot of light workers do. They come in with their spirit guides are like a bunch of thugs behind them, and they're going to beat up all the negative ghosts. It don't work that way. Talk about that and what it took for you to overcome that part of walking into the dragon's lair and poking it in the eye.
Oh my goodness. I used to go into churchyards. I went to some places where I literally did get tripped up and really hurt my leg, having done ceremony on somewhere I shouldn't have been. So how you get out of that, oh my goodness, you learn the hard way, don't you? You actually realise that, as you would say, how is that working for you? You only have to ask yourself that question, don't you? How is that working for you? Well, actually, I came away injured. I badly hit my head. I slipped up on a path. And I was limping away, and you think, I'm not walking away from this feeling any sort of joy at all. It's felt like it's been really grueling, really hard work, and I'm shouting my message and I'm trying to get it across. It's not like that when it works. It's not like that when you're in the right scenario, is it? It's walking through treacle, isn't it? And then you come away, and then you don't recognize it at first, but gradually you get sicker and sicker. Gradually, you haven't got the potency you had before. You're losing some of your life force. I lost a lot of my life force at one time. So
because you were doing too many missions into places that was poking the dragon's eye.
Yeah.
Now, all the time I hear people tell me about the missions they do and the missions they do and the missions they do. And if you're one of those people who's had a session with me and you're telling me the missions you do, guess what I'm thinking about you? Dumb fuck.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's some insulted people out there. Dumb fuck. Why? Why are you poking the dragon intentionally? Okay. There's a difference between contract revocations and poking the dragon intentionally. Unfortunately, the lightworker world of marketing encourages people to go into the Vatican and beat up the ghosts there, to go to here and do this, to go to here, take on missions like you're a trained military. You are not trained in military. You don't know your ass from a hole in the ground when it comes to what spirit can do on the other side. There are about a handful of people I've met in the years that doing this that come with the innate skills to know what to do when something wants you dead. Okay? Dead, or replace you with something else inside you. Okay. So if you're out there and you're a mission-based light worker, stop. Just stop. Slow it down and understand there's so many other ways to get the same mission accomplished without poking the dragon in the eye. Okay. There are people who go and do missions and come out the other side. The mission's great, but you're fucked now. You got a mark on your soul that's telling all the other negative ghosts, attack me because it's king of the mountain time. Okay. And then there are the people that do mission after mission after mission and they never fail. And that's that light worker ego that takes over. And then they start talking about their missions on their podcast and this, and they want all these other people to join their missions to go here and do this and beat up these lizards and go save the children. Buying into a debilitating story that will be nothing but servitude to the darkness. The story itself is the servitude. And unfortunately, having to literally pull people out of that story so they could get their life force back.
And
Okay.
working on that zealot side. So if you're listening, and I've gone through this experience as well, try and go to a sacred site by going there and being a tourist, by actually just going to feel what it feels like, enjoying your time there, instead of like I used to go to places where it was always a mission. Merlin's Cave, the first time I went there was always a mission. I was on top, below at night with a bunch of people trying to do stuff. Then the next time I went was on my CST1 course, and I went there and I just listened, and I literally listened, and I was crying because it was that beautiful. I was able just to experience it for what it was, instead of going with this instant gratification expectation that I'm a fucking powerful light worker, all these powerful people with me. We went through loads of different areas and did loads of grid work, but it got to the point where it was ingrained in me for a while. I was just like, I need to do this mission, I need to go there. Oh yes, we need to go to Glastonbury and heal this line, do this line. And it's like a military zealot side to us, where we kind of lose reality really. And now my journey is so much greater because I can go there by just, I don't have an expectation, or I don't have my bag full of things I need to do there. I can just go and experience the land, give an offering without trying to change it in any way. And I'm on the 12-step recovery program and I'm at the end of it now. So I've gone through, I've had my many experiences of doing that, and I gained nothing from it, but just learning of how blind I was to what I was doing.
So with that being said, the zealot and the martyr will drive us to speak to aspects of ourselves that are not our spirit guides. And they may also drive us to believe that a ghost, an external thing, is your spirit guide. So Laura, let's talk about discerning external versus internal, and the journey a person has to take to earn and learn discernment of external to internal.
Well, it's a level of responsibility as well to do that. So unless you're in the awareness that you have a responsibility to yourself and those around you, then what I'm saying is this is a discernment thing, isn't it? So yeah, absolutely. So internal v external. Well, sometimes you can project your own internal voices to make them external, can't you?
Absolutely. You can validate something through an external source that is that is an internal aspect, which is how we can juxtapose and justify and validate this inner voice I'm making outer. So I believe that it's an outer thing speaking to me. It's a hierarchical state.
Yes, I've done that. Yeah, I've done that many times. So I don't know. Now, for me, so many things are internal. It's like I said to you recently, I used to think dragons were external, and then I realized that was internal too.
Right. So, medicine, Two Feathers is both external and internal to you.
Yes. Yes.
He started out as an external source and earned internal rights. And he's still an external source.
Yes.
Okay. So if somebody comes around and says, hey, I'm 3 feathers, 2 feathers cousins, how will you know it's true?
It's just that inner wisdom. It's so difficult to put into words.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that inner wisdom, and I've made mistakes. I mean, so many mistakes.
Okay.
But it's just an inner knowing.
Right. Let's put you in a situation.
Okay.
You're da walking down the park one day, and hey, yo, woman over there, I'm 3 feathers, 2 feathers cousins. Okay. Really, you are? And then you would go internal and ask 2 feathers, is he my cousin? Is he your cousin? Okay.
Yeah.
What if you don't hear anything? What if you don't hear anything from him? What if he's not answering the call? It's ring, 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 and he's not answering.
I go with what comes for me.
Some guy off the street some guy calling you off the street. Hey, you, not by your name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But sometimes I think even if I'm making it up, it's come from somewhere. But the question is, how confident do I feel that somewhere is a loving connection? And I haven't been hiding.
Now you're
Right,
getting it.
That is all to do with how much I trust the work I'm doing, right? And how much I trust myself. And I'm not naive enough to think I'm still not making, spiritual faux pas, some silly mistakes. But I like to think I've done enough of the grounding work that I actually am able to discern.
Yeah. So earlier today, I had a session with a gentleman that was, I don't know how to describe it. I don't want to give it away. He's a professional in universities, stuff like that. And he's been mentally degrading. Unfortunately, a lot of geniuses go through this process. And he has this overarching superiority complex that comes from being in the academia world. And he went to a psychologist, and the psychologist, I forgot what he actually called it. That's but they're all important to everything. I forgot what the name of the word was. Oh, grandiose. The grandiose. But there was an actual psychological definition to it. And he's asking me, am I that? I go, how would you know if you are? And the whole session was breaking that down. How would you know if you are? Because if you are, yourself is never going to reveal that to you. And I had to give him interrogation questions on, are you that important? Has your ego elevated you to this all-encompassing status and it's not really there? What validated that journey, and how do you unvalidate that journey? Oftentimes when we get connected to a guide and it ends up getting hijacked, or it wasn't true to begin with, we go through that depressive state and don't want to reconnect to any more guides, or have such a broken energy. When we go and do it again, we don't use common discernment again. We make the same mistakes over and over again. Okay. So learning that journey of questioning yourself, especially the information that's coming out. Why? Because when it comes to hijacking, you won't know until suddenly it makes a little bit of a mistake. Like it wouldn't use, normally I wouldn't use words that way. Wait a second. Okay. How are they steering me into wanting to look at this or that? Or, just go do something else. Go look at porn. That's a really common one when the spirit guides just said, hey, we're done. Just go look at some porn. That's not a spirit guide. That's an energy harvesting entity. Okay. What are some of the other things you think that a fake spirit guide might do to influence you to do something in the physical? This is Grandmaster of the Obvious training for both Dale and Laura here. Don't worry. We've got an ongoing joke with it.
Say if it tells you to go to the pub all the time or go out, get some drugs, Just some really easy things, or things which aren't going to grow you as a spirit. And if
Give
it's
actual
like that,
examples. Give actual examples.
would be, say, I might have another drink tonight. I might go to the pub, and your spirit guide tells you to go to the pub, or you're speaking to a spirit guide and they get you to do something which actually there's no point of doing it. I'm trying to think of an example.
Your kids will be fine if you have another drink, right?
Yes, that's it. Yeah. You'll be okay for another one. It's all right. You've got this. You've got control of your own self.
Right.
Oh,
Your wife
I
won't
don't
care
do-
if you're an hour. Yeah, your wife won't care if you're an hour late.
I never see these people. I haven't seen them in ages, and now they've appeared to me. So I'm going to go for a drink with them. Or, oh, it's so nice. I've got to catch up with them because I haven't spoke to them. This is examples of myself from hanging around with negative people from my past. I always was tricked into doing it. And there was always that lie. And it's quite, looking back, it is quite apparent how it happened, from drinking and doing. I still have a drink, but I don't drink like I used to. I enjoy drink. But before I did drugs, and I was always lying to myself and giving myself an excuse to do it. And yeah, there was some hijacking going on as well, because I always used to be kind of egged on a little bit to do it. So what about you, Laura? Have you got any examples to add?
Well, I was just thinking, like, when you want to say something to somebody and that little thing comes in on your shoulder and you know you shouldn't say it because it will be treading on their journey, but because you're, this is light workerish, really. You think you're doing it from the goodness of your heart because this will really help them, but in fact what you're going to say will probably do more damage than good because you're treading on their journey, and you just do it, and there's that horrible feeling afterwards where you've got this false sense of, well, I said it, yeah, and I'm I must have sounded really
right. That's the hierarchical power the entity just forced you to go into, and that's harvesting somebody else.
Yeah, but underneath you feel shit. Underneath, I knew I shouldn't have said it, and I'd be like, oh. The other part of me was like, why did I do that? But at the time, a lot of me wouldn't look at that. It would be, well, they needed to know that. This sort of self-righteous crap.
Starting a statement with, I don't mean to offend you, but it's
Yes.
oftentimes the energy of an entity.
The classic.
I always think if somebody says that to me, it's going to be offensive.
Yeah, because that's a classic entity hijack word.
Yeah, so why would you say that if it's not going to be offensive? Don't take this the wrong way. I'm going to take it the wrong way.
I'm going to take it the wrong way. Exactly.
Just to let you know, you gave me an entity attachment when I last saw you.
Yeah. That's another big one, right? You have attachments everywhere, and I can't hang out with you anymore because I got an attachment from you last time, and I do spiritual work all the time. Okay. Entities can become lazy at how they manipulate you, and that's when you can truly catch them. Okay, when it really doesn't want to be caught, you really have to be in a high layer of discerning to get it. Okay, or you just have a shitty entity that's fresh off the street and trying to figure the way that all the stuff works. Okay, I would use this one commonly. Have you ever just been somewhere and all of a sudden something says kick the cat? I'd never kick the cat. What the fuck? Where's this coming from? That's an entity.
Yes. Yeah,
kick the cat.
Yeah.
That's a cheap entity making itself known, testing you. What are you going to do about it? I just said kick the cat. You didn't kick the cat, but I'm here now. In an unknowingness state, you still know I'm here. What are you going to do? That test right there is telling you it's going to boll weevil its way into you. Yeah, kids do that. They're psychic brats. Unfortunately, kids all too often become psychic brats. Okay, let's go back to spirit guides again. Okay, because spirit guides, all the stuff we're talking about, it all ties into the same thing. Trusting what you're speaking to with an extended set of conversations, and how to know what it says from one conversation to the next is consistent. Okay? One thing that's been said about me over the years, I have been consistent for the decade plus that I've been doing this. Why am I consistent? Did we lose you, Dale?
Yeah, sorry, I had a bit of a cough and my signal went low. I had to mute to cough. I'd say what's made you consistent, Andrew, is that neutral point of view, and that neutrality. You can't break that. You can't change that. It's always. I'm not saying it's going to be the same, but you're always faced. I feel that I'm not judged at all, and there's just always that neutral space there. So your consistency has been being the sacred neutral observer, and you've had times where callers have come and they've been crazy at the start, and you've had a way to speak to them in that neutral way, and it kind of breaks off the denseness of it. It's like an art work. When you're doing it, it's really cool. So I'd say consistency, Andrew, would be just the sacred neutral point of view and always being in that. But for you, you've got your responsibility and awareness. You live, but you turn off spirituality as well when you need to. You slow down, you enjoy being a human. So I'd say, yeah, Andrew would be probably the best way to answer that.
So why do so many people not take up the sacred neutral point of view to speak to their spirit guides? Just leave your video off, Dale.
Because I feel the right way, and there's not enough people to navigate them with going into polarity when speaking to them. Because it's all the industry, like you see, and the products and stuff, it's just all polarizing stuff where you don't do it yourself. So I'd probably say that would be the best way I could describe that. Is there's not enough oral teachers out there doing it.
Did we lose Laura?
I think, yeah, she's not in, Andrew.
Yeah, she must have dropped.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, you didn't lay daddy law down on the internet, did you?
No.
Just change the password.
Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna have to, because they'll probably turn a few devices on halfway through.
Yeah.
I could towards the end.
So I said, just change the Wi-Fi password, yeah, and watch the door get knocked on. There, Laura's back. There we go. Okay.
Can you hear me okay now, or should I turn my video off?
No, you're good now. You're good now.
Okay.
Laura, are you there?
Yeah, I'm back. My internet dropped.
It's okay.
Okay.
So we were talking about the sacred neutral point of view and using that to contact the spirit guides instead of the state that you just come to them in.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's such a non-expectory state to be in. And it's more one that they deal in too. So it's matching the frequencies, isn't it?
Yep. So Marissa is asking, how do you know that you're remaining in sacred neutral when talking to them?
That's just practice, isn't it?
How do you know the difference between running and jogging? How do you know the difference between a fork and a knife? It's that simple to understand. You either are or you aren't. Okay? That sacred neutral state is exactly what you said, Laura. It excludes, how do I put it? Expectation. Such a lack of expectation within it. Because the very nature of sacred neutral is to not have any expectation, to not have any attachment to wisdom. It is simply it in its flow.
But I mean, all we're talking about in this communicating with our guides is practicing, is the practice, or taking forward the practices that we should be doing in our everyday lives as well, which is that sacred neutrality, isn't it? Am I going to be triggered by this? Things like that. How am I? It's working on staying in that non-polarity zone. Information will not change me.
So with that as a statement, Albert's asking, how do you even connect to begin with the lack of expectation?
Just with joy, it's a natural, organic, evolutionary thing to happen, isn't it?
Yes.
When you've done enough of the work, it will happen. You don't have to have any expectation related to it. It's a process of joy, actually, and this is a natural fallout from all the spiritual practices you're doing. For me, it was a natural fallout. It's nothing I pushed. It just sort of happened. Within that deep knowing, within that deep listening, and within that deep observing, that can be as simple as a meditation.
So Dale, how does the sacred, neutral, perceptive state of being, much like Laura was saying, how does that work for you?
I'd say it helps me with clients to not be able to judge them, and in that sacred, neutral space, I'm not in competition. And I think competition is one of the biggest things which gets people out of being in that neutral space, of seeing someone and making sure they can outcreate it. So keeping the sacred neutral space for me, reminding myself I'm in non-competition with this person, and I'm just allowing to listen to them. And that's one of the biggest things as well about sacred neutral, is listening. A lot of people just can't listen properly. And I've had it throughout my journey where I've had sessions and I've listened to certain stuff they're saying, but being able to listen to what people are actually saying and not judging them for it. The amount of clients I have now and then will come to me and I'll say something, they'll listen to me like 20%. It's like it's just completely going out of them. So I'd say learning those skills is start listening more. When someone's talking to you, really listen to what they're saying and not in that expectation mode, ready to put your point across to them. And I think for me, it was learning those differences, what I had. I want to speak now, right? I want to give my point of view, letting all of that go and listening to the person. It's like going back to the basics of conversation, listening to the person, then obviously observing and talking to them, and not trying to rush or change their mind or change them in any way, shape or form. Clarity at times, it's something I'm working on more and more, but it's me. I've neutral stance with my work I do for clients and so on, would be the listening factor of always opening and listening to them. Before, maybe 8 years ago, I didn't really listen, and I knew it all. I'm going to heal this, or I'm going to heal this person. But now I've had to remove that and really take my time, enjoy the conversation as well. And that's it. Don't be in competition. Don't be in jealousy. Don't be in any of these weird things which can come in for us. And when they do come in for us, that's work and that's validation why I need to work on myself. This is coming up for your competition. There's aspects for us to work on, and that's the beauty of it. When you make that mistakes, you've got your time next week to go into that and see where those mistakes are from. I do it all the fucking time. There's stuff we're working with Andrew, Laura, Maty. I'm like, right, there's this I need to change in my reality. So next week I'll set that time and I'll go and do the work on that. So it's always doing the work and not thinking that you haven't. You've got to continue on the journey to do it. And next week there'll be something fucking new which comes up and you're like, oh, hello. So exactly. Yeah, going back to that listening, Andrew and Laura, would probably be my best way of doing it. Going back to the basics of having interaction, listening to the words they're in, but with the judgment.
Beautiful.
Yeah, the thing is, if you're doing it in your physical life first, so you're living a self-aware life, as much as you can to your level of awareness, and you're living an equally co-created life, why is it so difficult to carry that forward or carry that into the connection with your spiritual guides? It's no different, is it? You show people respect in this realm because you want to be treated properly. It is absolutely no different when you're going to speak to your spiritual guides.
Exactly. Okay. We're about to take callers here. So anybody that is listening on the YouTube channels and wants to be a part of the Zoom room, you can come into the Zoom room. It'll be in the show description box. Or if you are here in the Zoom room, you can go click raise your hand. But before we take our first caller, what I want to talk about is when something negative actually tries to connect to you. And it wants to tempt you into believing it can be your protector. Oftentimes children experience this. And oftentimes a lot of brand new light workers or mid-level light workers get something that admits, I'm not the best of person, but I have services to offer you. Let's talk about that and how to deal with some of those things. Or something that says it's an ascended master. How would you deal with it, Laura?
Well, it's, you know, for me, if you're going to go with that, if something comes into you saying that, you're already giving away your sovereignty, right? Because you're giving away your power to something else. Do you want to do that? Because I wouldn't want to do that. Whatever anything that came to me that said, I'm going to do that, like, for you, is one, undermining, because it's saying you can't do it. So how much do you trust yourself that you can actually do it yourself? Actually, everything you need is within you. And this goes back to the co-creation together with your spirit guide. It's working together. Well, for me, it's working together to be signature frequency matches to the fifth world of peace, which is something that is just in my heart that I do. So I don't need anything or want anything that's coming in saying, I'm going to do this for you, because that would take me back to being a lazy light worker. And I don't want to be a lazy light worker. I've worked really hard to claim my sovereignty and to claim my authenticity. So I would really be questioning how did I come to align with those sort of frequencies? And no, thank you. I will do equal co-creation with you. I'll dance with you and create something beautiful, but I'm not going to allow you to step in and take any of my power that's hard earned.
Well said. Well said. We have a lot of situations where people who are new to the practice, not understanding the nature of the practice, can easily get duped by a marketing salesman in the astral world, or the marketing of this archangel posted on this website telling you to buy gold and silver. Okay, we have to once again connect to our spiritual street smarts. We cannot be so open, wide-eyed and open that any word can change our fundamental beliefs. Okay, if so, you are just a sheeple. If any word can change your fundamental beliefs at any moment in time. Okay, with that said, we're going to go ahead and open up the chat room. Let's bring in Albert. Signal to unmute. We didn't able to take you last time.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Albert. How you doing? You want to turn on your camera?
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to.
How's it going?
Not so good. I'm going through a little bit of under the weather, but other than that, I'm okay.
Good. What did you think of today's show?
It's interesting because I hear about how we connect with our spiritual guides, and sometimes we connect with spiritual guides, and yeah, like I want to say, if we understood correctly, some of us don't understand who we're connecting with. Mm-hmm. Is that my understanding?
Sure.
And are we connecting with somebody that's has your best interests, or wants something from you, or even to go into a little deeper in something weird, they might even want to take your energy away from you and feed off of you, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So how is it that we connect? Because in my practices, we connect with within beings within ourselves. There are aspects of ourselves. It's not something outside of ourselves. It's something within
You've
ourselves.
already learned the internal side of it.
Yes, the internal side of it, and that's where I'm at. But now, when you connect with beings, higher beings that are outside of yourself, how do we discern what we're connecting with and who we're connecting with?
That's the long-term discernment we have when we're working with something, and the subtleties of the language it uses, and the long-term strategy and tension from the language it uses until it has a setup question. Is that setup question going to lead you to the negative without you knowing it?
Well, it
Think
depends
of
on
it
our
think of it
intention.
like a plot tool in a story, and they foreshadow, and you know as a reader, this is foreshadow moment, something's coming. Oftentimes entities, as they're giving you this light and this fluffy words, and there's a bit of a foreshadow, will you get it or not? As they take you off the neutral path and begin the growth of small amounts of charge and polarity.
Well, we hope they're not going to feed us that bullcrap that we were talking earlier, that we're some kind of form of a past life that's supposedly really high, and they start feeding us that kind of stupidity. That's
Right.
when we have to discern.
Turn on the street smarts and go, hey, wait a second. Why do you think it's that way?
Yeah.
And don't give me a bunch of storyline. What's the truth? Then you have to start dissecting and interrogating the moment. Because oftentimes, once the entity realizes it makes a mistake, it blinks out and lets your programs take over.
Oh,
And
so
then you're talking to the program, and then you're like, oh, okay, this was just a program. Then it blinks back in and tries to take over again.
I see. But
There's where long-term discernment about your energy frequencies and how they have the ups and the downs and the in-betweens, and how you got to know thyself.
in that internal understanding that we're confident in what we're doing and what we want, is that part of the path?
Yes.
So when we want, let's say, it's in line with helping and being of service to all mankind, I'm assuming, right?
So now you're using extremely overarching words, to all mankind. What if part of mankind doesn't want your help?
Oh, I see.
What, are you stepping on their journey at that point? And an unknowingness have just made that statement?
No, because we can't impose. We're
Right.
actually, I said we're not supposed to impose. But even you read literature, even in my belief system, it says you make prayers for the sake of all of mankind, of all sentient beings.
Sure, absolutely. That's that belief. But there are other beliefs that don't have that same process.
Ah, see, that's where I make the mistake.
That's where we make the mistakes. Our intent is absolutely key. So when you are making that stand for all mankind, which would the intent would mean those that don't want it will not have it. It does not need to be said in the statement of the philosophy because it's intended already through the learning of it. You will only help those that want it. You will not step on this. It's already ingrained in your teachings, but it's not word for word.
No, okay, yeah, that's where I was missing the fine print, I guess you would say.
Yes.
So when I was learning how to be a light worker, especially, I'm not sure how you feel about pranic healing, but when I was learning pranic healing and even Reiki, even too, because I understand that you're a Reiki healer, aren't you?
Yep. Yes, and pranic too.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we were taught to ask for permission every time, right? So every time, and this is also what we ask when we ask to connect to with our going back with light beings and higher sources and our higher selves. Is that how we do it? We ask.
Yeah, we ask, and then we wait for the answer. And if the answer is anything other than yes, you can't give it to them. Maybe tomorrow. No. If it isn't an absolute yes, you cannot go forward.
Okay.
And unfortunately, this is where a lot of people make mistakes. And this is how a negative entity can lead you into a situation. Heal that person. They really need your help, but they're saying no. They need you. They're going to die if you don't. And poof, you're harvesting.
Yeah, because I always hear stories about that. And I always want to ask questions. Why did they put this house in that situation? And
to test you on the greater philosophy of intent, and are you willing to see that you could step on a journey of others?
And Andrew, are we putting ourselves in that situation also to put ourselves in a growth process, or is that or are we making a big mistake finding something that didn't have our best interest at heart?
It can be all of that into one and none of it at the same time.
Oh, how interesting! It's a lot of practice and it's a lot of
Yeah.
knowing ourselves in.
Exactly. That's why that journey of not stepping on another person's journey, learning that part of the little sub philosophy
Yeah.
and all of the things that's involved into it must be a part of our intentional context moving forward. I have learned not to step on others' journeys. I don't need to say it every word of every second. It's in my totality of intent. But then I run across a situation where its intent is to lure you into a trap to do it on purpose. These are the spiders in the holes that are waiting for you to get tangled into their web. Okay.
So
And there could be
I'm
something
sorry.
external as well. When you're sending a treatment back in my light workers day, there'd be oh, well, they'll accept it, they'll want it. And like, that external stuff, like, no, they will want this. And like, it'll be good for them. I've had that experience before.
All right. Albert, thanks for calling in. We're going to move on to the next caller.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
All right, Mateus. Mateus, a signal to unmute.
Hi there.
Hi, it's been a while since we talked. How you doing today?
I'm great, man. How are you guys? How are you, Dale and Laura as well?
Doing good. You want to turn on your video?
Yeah, I can do. It's not really going to be able to see me because it's just darkness in here. Give me a second. Hopefully you can see me if I don't know if I put the flash on or something.
That's fine. We just see a dark room. You could turn it off. That's fine. So what did you think of today's show?
Hi guys.
Good. What did you think of today's show?
Beautiful. Something I've been wanting to hear for a very fucking long time. God, Laura, you guys make me so happy just looking at you guys' faces, man. Just take my hats off to you guys and I appreciate you guys so much. It's an honor to be here and to be with everybody that's actually in the chat room as well, like with everybody's hands raised and everything as well. I'm gonna just let the universe take over because I don't want to be fast or short. Or Andrew, do you want to do we want to talk about that question you asked?
Yes.
Well, well, let me just be honest here because let me just let the spirit take over. Well, if we're talking about from my life's perspective, when we're talking about entities being taken over, well, I don't know if entities were to come into somebody's life and they've not really consented to that, also, in a sense, like just how we've been manipulated across our whole planet really is kind of like extraordinary, I guess. What I'm saying from this perspective is no, I don't believe that. Well, we try. How do we distinguish whether it's a positive or a negative? Well, when you said that we had a conversation before, yeah, we did. We've had many conversations actually in my dream time and things as well. If I had one dream, you were in my dream one time back in 2020 when I've just been through. I've been. If people don't just know, I just let everybody know that I'm connected with a man called Alfred Lammermont Weber, and we discuss the spiritual dimensions of the universe. And I do. I've been practicing astrology for a long time, and made a lot of discoveries and things, and learned a lot over the couple of past years. But your question, Andrew, it's been a very from my soul, it's something I've seen quite a lot, and something
You've seen a lot of people taken over by some very dubious types of
Oh
entities
my
out there,
God,
haven't you?
bro. Oh
And some
my
of them are
God.
just street salesmen selling watches,
Bro,
fake
it's
watches.
serious. Oh,
Okay.
carry on. Carry on.
And how do you tell it's a fake watch? Okay. And yes, I'm using a time reference here, a watch. How do you know an entity's telling you a fake time watch? How do you know? Is it Rolex spelled with a K instead of an X? Okay, Rolex. You see that in Hong Kong streets all the time.
Oh my
I've
God.
got a Rolex watch over there. Guess what?
Uh,
I paid $4 for it.
mm.
Okay. All those things that are out there that are pitching their sale.
Yeah.
Okay. Marketing their garbage as gold plated whatever. Okay. So, how do we rate wisdom? Unfortunately, our spirit community has been hijacked by conspiracy community, which is hijacked by money, which then puts everybody into this mass market of how do you get through the bullshit?
Mm.
How do you discern which light worker that's selling, gold and silver on their market is still real because they need to make money and they're just saying go and buy gold, silver? It's not my spirit guide, Archangel Michael, telling you to buy gold and silver, but the human that wants to run the business.
Mm-mm. Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Okay. Mm. Can we take this to like a bigger picture perspective?
Sure.
Okay, so we're talking like let's stay globally because I know there's a lot going on other planets, and it's just like our planet. Well, the same planet we all live on. We live on this planet, and it's our home, and it's something that Yeah. If you want to just take the wheel again.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we live in a world where everybody's out there in the open bazaar market selling their wares. Okay? We have this internet that allows us to go from market to market to market to market to market to market to market until some shiny thing attracts the light worker to go, oh, what is that? Archangel Michael is telling me to buy silver now? Why would an archangel tell me to buy silver? Let's look at that scenario.
Mm.
Okay? You see the other realms. Would an actual archangel tell humans to buy physical silver? No. Okay? No.
Man, continue.
Okay? How many channelers are saying buy silver? Vote Trump.
What is
Do
this?
this.
I get it.
You get it.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay?
But why? Like, how do? Like, well, no, ignore. No, I don't know. Just continue, please.
So
Continue.
why? The question is why? Why has it proliferated the community? Fear. And there's the answer. Archangel Michael told me to buy silver. I'm emptying my bank account because the Great Reset is coming, and I'm validating all of these conspiracies that never come true.
What date's the solar flash happening this year, Andrew?
It happened already. You missed it.
It's happened already.
Didn't do nothing.
You guys. This is so fun. Come on.
But there's a desperation energy in all of that as well, Andrew.
Yes.
Mm.
Preying on the desperation.
Mm. Mm.
How much is that the human influencing that versus the channel? That's the big discerning question. Does the human hijack the channel itself and put its own shit in there on purpose? Okay. Usually that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then there are the things that like to take over humans and tell you actually to go buy gold, vote Trump, because they are encouraging tribalism. And they know by forcing tribalism and acting through proxies, they have a massive harvesting field to do whenever they want. And if they build up a few thousand people and audience members, I don't like, shitting publicly on any people, but there are people out there that continuously said Trump is still president 2 years later. Why do people still believe them? Okay, I'm not going to point any of the one out. The post QAnon people who wouldn't give up. Those are the ones that are heavily possessed into zealotry and martyrship for their cause. And a zealot's energy is intense. And if you're new to the world, that intense energy is attractive. How do I get it? Not knowing what it ultimately does to you at the end.
Yeah, this is this is something I've needed to hear, and obviously in perfect the right timing again. I guess I just want to say thank you to you guys for putting on such a great show tonight. It's Two Feathers Medicine at the US. Shout out to you guys, and you, Andrew, of course. I've been in tune for quite a long time now. This self-mastery again, it's just something I'd like to put out there to everybody again. If people can get back into this and into their own frequency, into their own being, it's something that you already know,
Yes.
Andrew. It's something that's communicated. It's communicated in very different, various ways, and these three people, ladies and gentlemen, these people, and I'm sure there's somebody else I forgot to mention. I just hope I haven't missed anybody, but yeah, this is serious work, and I'd just like to let you guys know that I'm going to be in I've been preparing myself spiritually for a long time, and I do as many conversations that I would like to have with you guys in the future.
I'm sure we will. Maty.
Yeah, from what's just been said though, about that what we just spoke about. Do you have any advice on that? Quite literally, that everybody could probably take right now.
Entities telling you to buy gold and silver. Don't buy the gold and silver. Okay? Don't buy the pitch to the 3-card Maty game. It's rigged. Okay? Why do people still fall for 3-card Maty 200 years later? Okay? Why do they fall for it? Because they let themselves. They think they can beat it. They think they can do better. And you're going against a rigged game. Why do carny games, have the giant teddy bears and you waste $30 to get a teddy bear that costs $5?
It's fucking game. It's just perception.
Right.
Man. It's like fucking.
Exactly.
God.
All right, Maty, thanks for calling in. We'll have more conversations.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you guys, man. And I'm gonna be staying in for the rest of the call. But thank you guys. So.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Cheers.
So 1 second here. So let's have Marissa signal to unmute.
Hello.
Hello. How you doing today?
Hey. I am doing great. I had a feeling I was going to be called next.
What did you think of today's show?
Well, to be honest, I missed the first little portion. I was in class and was a little confused on the start time. But I caught the end of your discussion about all this, and I've heard you speak on this before. I've been a long-time listener, so I always love these conversations. And I have something to add, which I'm not sure has been spoken of already, so pardon me if I'm reiterating something. I also have a couple questions.
Sure.
So the thing that I would like to add is it's just interesting to me. It's something that I noticed, like people in the spiritual communities and want to open up to these higher entities or what they perceive to be higher entities. Like right off the bat, I want to speak to the Pleiadians. I want to speak to, these angels and it's just, I just feel like maybe starting with something earth-based, starting with speaking to your plants outside in your backyard,
Exactly.
To me, I've always found that like I would get skeptical pretty easily when I'd start to feel like another energy of a being outside of myself in the external start to try and communicate. And so it always would come back to, well, let's just reconnect to nature. Like I feel the most trust, connection. Just knowing how nature feels in my body, knowing when I'm speaking to a plant and starting that communication from like the basics, just how that feels in my body. So then working from that layer up, it's more natural to start to feel different frequencies, also through just fortifying your reality and fortifying yourself.
See,
to then start
that is street smart. That is street smarts, what you're describing there. And unfortunately, a lot of people come into this practice where they don't use their street smarts. What you were doing is you were right in the Grandmaster that start easy. Why go to the extremes immediately?
Exactly. Yes. Like let's start at the basics, Like it seems all great to speak to archangels and like, like I said, what we perceive as hierarchical, and we're already in natural equal co-creation with the earth. So why would we start anywhere but with the plants outside your door? And I feel that way even too with larger plant medicines too. It's similar. People put on a pedestal, ayahuasca and different things that really take you into these larger places that somebody may not be ready for yet because it's marketed, because it seems as greater, when you're in the spiritual communities and hear people talking about their experiences. And I haven't personally done ayahuasca, so, that's its own thing. But just coming from that herbalist background and plant spirit consciousness, that you can learn so much just from talking to a dandelion as well, or taking time to work with a plant for a month where you're in communion with that particular plant. And there's so much wisdom to be gained that's really more directly related to your body, to your soul and self here as this I am in this moment. So that's really my thoughts on that. And just let's start basic and work from there. And I feel like most people are at a basic place, whether they want to believe that or not, so that's my thing to add. And thank you for allowing me.
Great wisdom, great street smarts to add.
Yeah. And I have a couple of questions. One question is, do you find that entities, when they're feeding or attaching, will attach to certain organs of people depending on the emotion that's being harvested? Okay.
So example, if you're a person that's full of anger and rage, it's going to go right to your liver.
I was literally going to ask about the liver.
So if you're a person that's overly sexually stimulated all the time, it's going to go right to the sexual organs. If you are highly intelligent, or if you're a highly intelligent person who's an introvert, they're going to try to get inside you into the brain.
Yes. I've noticed that. I was asking that because of the liver thing I just had recently. A couple clients who were very angry, and those angers were associated with the system, that we live in the domination and control. And I could just feel and see like so much attached to their livers and they were having liver issues and all that. Just so much attached to their livers because of just all of that anger directed at the system. It's like they don't see how that system is then just, mirroring that right back to them and creating ill health through this, negative attachment. So it's really interesting.
You said you had another question?
Oh yeah, another question. Now I don't remember. I'm like on the spot now. Let me think for a second. Oh, I guess, here's the other question. And it's kind of maybe like a silly question, but why open yourself to speaking to entities that are in the etheric or astral?
Great question.
Great
question. Why? The why has to have an intent before it starts. Yeah. There has to be an intent. Is it because of curiosity? I say all the time, curiosity learning will not open you up
That's
to
gonna
what
get
you
you in
want.
trouble. Yeah, yes, exactly. Yep,
Okay.
yeah,
Why? There has to be a reason why. If you're talking to a
exactly.
spirit guide, how do you know it's your spirit guide? If I want to be
Exactly.
introduced to a spirit guide, I have to set up the energy to be introduced to it. It's not
Right.
not Galactic Tinder.
Exactly. Don't just go like to close your eyes and tune in to whatever is around, you know? And
Right.
I mean, I'm kind of like, for my own journey, I feel like early on, I was more open to that, you know, going outside of myself into those astral areas. But, you know, it just became more clear that, you know, like was already said, everything you need to know is within you. Like, I feel like the messages that come through clear that are of my highest self and that are of the universe, you know, in that call and response and communication through synchronicities and just, you know, insights and clarity coming forth. Why do I need more than that, you know?
Thanks.
So,
Thanks.
yeah.
That's some really, really good wisdom for a lot of people to absorb. Thanks a lot for calling in.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the show.
You're welcome.
Thanks for all you do.
So, Laura, Dale, we're near the end of the show. What final wisdom do you have for people?
I'd
Well, I
say,
like. Go on, Dale.
okay, thank you, Laura. So I'd say before you go and want to speak to any being, is set the guidelines of why am I doing this? What am I doing this for? Am I doing this for the greater purpose of myself, or am I doing this just to feel that instant gratification? And connecting to your ancestors, there's loads of wisdom to be learned there. But again, it's about having that layer of trust and not being obsessed about communicating to them. So yeah, anything you want to add there to add to that, Laura?
Yeah, don't lose your discernment just because it's angels, archangels, guides, ancestors. Don't lose your own discernment that you would use in this world. So on this physical plane, you have honed a certain type of discernment. Don't just throw it all away when you go to connect to the other side or whatever you want to call it. Just don't lose that. Keep that discernment, keep your sovereignty, keep your authenticity, and that will guide you all the way through when you're connecting, and allow it to be a natural organic co-creation. Marissa was spot on, like connect to the natural world first. Go and talk to the wind. Get your practicing in there before you even want to talk to archangels, just as you would in this physical world. Just don't lose that sensibleness.
Exactly. Don't lose that sensibleness. Keep your street smarts. Okay. Unfortunately, a lot of entities are playing 3-card Monty, and you walk up to the table willingly to get taken. I will once again reiterate, curiosity learning kills the cat. Why? Why do you think that happens all over and over again? Why does curiosity learning take you down the path of conspiracy, and the next thing you know, everything on your Facebook page is baby raping lizard wizards? I've seen the greatest of healers hijacked by the Save the Kids community to the point they can't heal anybody anymore. And if anyone were to go to them, they would be haunted as hell because all they look at is baby raping lizard wizards. Okay? Use discernment. Okay? Use discernment. So many people, I don't want to. And I mock the voice because they can't be bothered with the British term. Dale, explain to people that are in America what I don't want to be bothered means as a British term.
So I don't want to be bothered. What do you mean, as in for myself? If I'm saying that,
I can't be bothered.
Yeah. It's just basically giving up. I can't be bothered. I'm just letting myself out of this and letting go to whatever's there. Yeah, that would probably be what the British term would be. Laura, do you agree? It's just completely just fuck it. I'm out of here. Yeah.
I can't be asked. I'm lazy.
Yes. Yeah.
Can't be asked. I'm lazy.
Yeah.
So for the last couple minutes here, let's go back and mock the light workers, not just for the comedy, because everyone will hear a ring of truth in it from somewhere or sometime. Okay. Oh, I just heard that Archangel Michael told me to give my driver's license away and to not vote and to do all this because this big 11/11 date's coming. And if I get rid of my license and don't pay my taxes, I'll be perfect.
And
Who's heard that one?
Sovereignty isn't important to me, really, because they're archangels and they know far better than me.
And the universe is going to get all my clients. Universe, bring me all my clients to me, and they'll be all sorted next week. We've got a full. That's another partnership program. But no, you've got to fucking put money, effort, time, dedication into marketing to actually get the clients. And the amount of people I've been there who've set up as a practitioner where I was love and light in it. Oh, they'll just come and appear. A few of them came, but not many.
Okay. The love and light will pay my bills.
Yeah, well, give me the lottery numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to live off much.
I used to choose, like 11, 22, 33. The lottery
Is that
numbers.
when you were spinning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
don't need to do the work. Spirits told me I'm special. Okay. I don't need to do the work. Spirit told me I'm special. Break that down a second. I've actually heard that. Okay. Let's go even deeper. Why should I be bothered with doing any work at all? It's going to happen anyways, and it's already happened. They've already told me everything's already happened.
So basically, I'm too lazy to want to grow and evolve the natural way. I want someone else to do it for me.
Right.
And they can't do it for me. So they wouldn't say that.
No, they won't say that part.
I just realized that. I'm saying, yeah, okay.
We live in a simulation. Elon Musk told me we live in a matrix. We live in a simulation. Okay, so prove it. Does this simulation ask you to pay bills? And when you don't pay the bills, you get homeless? Is that still a simulation, homelessness? No, things that work only on one degree of logic. Oftentimes, those are the ones people get caught in, like flat Earth. Okay? Why do people get caught up in flat Earth?
In some ways, it's an easy out for them, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Patty, he doesn't actually believe in flat Earth. He makes fun of it all the time. Okay. Okay. Let's go serious martyr light worker. I will go into the den of the devils and make them be gone because I have the power of Christ in my hand, and I lay down the light and the sword and I diffuse everything. Did they do it? What do you think the demon's saying? What do you think the demon's saying?
I've got you, sucker.
I got you, sucker.
You're mine now. I will drain you of
mine.
I will drain you of your life force slowly.
And leave you homeless, light worker.
So put that love and light in your pipe and smoke it now.
Exactly. Okay.
or when you're ill, the amount of the times where you don't, and I've done this before, I don't do it now, but back in my light worker days was not going to the doctor when you needed to go to the doctor.
Oh, yes.
Then getting to the stage. Yes. I've had a few clients lately of this happen where I've had to literally kept saying to them, you have to go. I can't diagnose you on here. My psychic surgery can't do everything. There are things you have to do physically and have to get a diagnosis from a doctor, and that kind of them saying that they're scared of them, they're against them. And I was like that at one point. I wouldn't go for a test, or all the doctors were out to get me and they didn't want me to be spiritual and stuff like that. It's
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
all of that shit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even take cough mixture till I had bronchitis and pneumonia, I think it was. And Andrew said,
Yeah.
"You're going to a doctor tomorrow." I'm like, but I
Yes.
don't mind putting the medicines.
Okay.
Why?
Why did you build up? I won't take the medicines. What built that up in you?
Well, that was the zealotry. It's the same story as Dale. You know, the veganism, the broccoli has more protein than steak, the believing everything I read, and this was the route to go. And yeah, it's just such a load of crap. You think, I think the thing is, you think you have to be so different to be spiritual. You don't. You don't have, because you don't have to be so different in some ways than a non-aware person, or somebody, let's say somebody who doesn't really believe. You have to be a sensible spiritual person.
Yeah.
That's all it is, really. Light worker is so, it's gone so far one way. It's away from it's away from the true meaning of spirituality, because it's gone into polarization, and that isn't what our spirituality is at all, is it?
Exactly.
Or vaccines, falling out with someone because they had a vaccine, and those crazy light workers who someone makes a choice out of their free will, and there's no judgment there, but a lot of people will fall out with them and be like, wow, they've gone down the dark side. And I've experienced that as well, and I've had a big come out the other side about that, and just seeing all sides and accepting all sides. Doesn't matter whether you're vaccinated or not. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not going to change my opinion on you. And that again is going back to that sacred neutral point of view. If that charges you by me saying that now, then that obviously is inner work you have to do, because you won't be able to speak to your guides and guardians if you're in that polarized state. If speaking about a fucking vaccine can send you into a zealot part of you, or anger, rage. I've had it before. I've had to do a lot of healing on it, and I'm sure a lot of people can. What triggers do vaccines trigger people? Put in the comments, see how many people it can trigger. But again, what I've learned from it, and going back to that neutral point of view, if you want to speak to your guides and guardians, you've got to deal with all that baggage first before you can have that responsibility on going to more layers and having more guides want to come near you. Your guides aren't going to want to come near you if you flip your lid about Mary having a vaccine or her doing this to her kids and stuff like that. But yeah, that's personal experience as well. I just thought I'd share that.
Okay. So with the last thing I said, we want everyone to go into the chat, to the comments section of wherever you're at after the live show. It should be there, and write a comment. Some of the stupid light worker stuff you've seen in the communities. Let's make a nice little thing for people to really go back and look and don't buy light workers telling you about ascended masters telling you about gold and silver. Let's put together a collection of some really good light worker stupid comments that people can once again relearn their street smarts from. Last words from you, Laura?
Don't lose that street smart.
Don't lose the street smart. Okay. With that being said, our normal shows are every Thursday, 2 to 5 Eastern time, 2 to 4 Eastern time. But this coming Thursday will be Thanksgiving. And no, I'm not going to do a show on Thanksgiving Day. We will reschedule it, I believe, for Friday. If you are not signed up to the email list, go to andrewbartzis.com and sign up for the email list. You can also go to twofeathersmedicine.locals at locals, as well as check out the Facebook, Dale's Facebook, my Facebook, Laura's, etc., where we'll be giving you the times and links for all the show. You know, there's been a little mistakes with the times and links, but this is our permalink, place to broadcast every Thursday, 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, except for Thanksgiving, which will be Friday. All right, everybody, have a great day, and we look forward to you on the next show.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Love and light.
Bye.